Okay, so it's talking about fun, frolicking fun at this time, um, having a playful heart in life, not being so serious, not getting too serious with what you need to do in life. You can be goal oriented, but at the same time, have a little fun. Be childlike, have a laugh, be silly, be ridiculous, make someone else laugh, do a good deed that makes everyone giggle, whatever it is. This is a call. My cat agrees. This is a call to say to lighten up, because life could be very serious if you focus on everything that is serious in life. It could outweigh any kind of positivity you might have inside when you start to focus on every single little thing that could possibly weigh you down. It's overwhelming, and it's just a trap, a mind trap, of kind of a downward spiral of negativity and negative thoughts. So when you have fun, when you think of kids outside playing, you hear them scream a lot, and they just doing it kind of naturally. They scream, they yell, they just get out a lot of stuff vocally. And as adults, we don't necessarily do that as much. We might go to a bar and sing and use our vocal cords in that way, where we're expelling energy through our voice, through our throat chakra. We might go to a place that like helps you do that. Maybe you sing, or you speak poetry, or you talk to a good friend, or you just go out and have a good time and scream and shout, whatever it is. Maybe go out for a laugh at a comedy club. There's something about the throat chakra here where when you expel your energy through it, it cleanses you. And kids do that naturally when they're outside screaming and playing, and they just scream bloody murder for no reason. So it's just a way to de-stress. And I think when you're under so much stress, you have to realize that you need to balance this with taking care of yourself. And part of that is your mental state and how happy, quote unquote, you are. And I feel like the word happy is I don't know, it's a fleeting feeling. It's not supposed to be a constant state. You could be content all the time with what you have. You're grateful for what you have. You can always have more, but you're happy where you are. But when you're happy, it's like this elated state, and it comes and goes. So you have to realize and recognize that sometimes good things in life just come and go, and you have to recognize it in the moment for what it is. Appreciate it for how you want to, and just realize that life continues on, and won't stop for anybody. Right? Like time continues no matter if you're alive or dead. Time still continues on. So when you see some kind of moment in time that makes you feel like you can be happy, quote unquote, or makes you excited, makes you laugh, makes you smile, makes you feel like a little kid again in some kind of silly way, that's where the magic is in life. Just because we're bigger bodied now as adults doesn't mean that we still don't need that childlike play. So that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting here. Look who wants to play. Oh, look at this. We have the King and the Queen of Pentacles and the Hermit. There's a match here. There's a perfect match, a very nice match at least. There's no perfection in relationships. Relationships are actually meant to be a little bit messy. We're supposed to challenge one another and kind of after we go through our, you know, honeymoon phase after a year or two, you know, all of the hormones that are pumping through our bodies and our brains wear off, and we go back to life. We go back to normal, and we start to look at, you know, our other in a different set of eyes, because we're not hyped up on all these chemicals that our body produces when we're in love for the, you know, in the beginning stages. There's like 6 different hormones that start pumping through you, and it hits the same kind of, you know, spots in your mind as a drug addiction. It's very powerful stuff, and that's why people kind of get addicted to falling in love. Like, they like the beginning rush because it is a rush. But I digress here. There's a king and a queen of pence, and they're sitting next to each other. And there's also the hermit. So there's this feeling of not sharing to one another how they feel. They're both in a hermit state of keeping to themselves, staying, you know, staying inward, you know, doing the work for themselves. You know, sometimes when you have to work on things themselves, it's wise to kind of almost become hermit-like and kind of detach just for a short amount of time from outside influence, so you can really work on tapping into your intuition, tapping into your subconscious, what your gut is telling you, not what people are trying to, you know, force you to say or force you to decide. So I feel like both of you have been like into yourselves and not saying a peep. But the hermit possesses this lantern and the star is in it. So it's really about, you know, going inward and searching within you what you really want, what you really feel like would be your dream. You know, the star is like getting everything you want. You wish upon a star and all your dreams come true kind of feeling. Oh, what's going on else? What else is going on with this couple? The Tower pops out. Huh. You both might have been going through some kind of drastic change lately. Maybe that's why that, you know, you're both in a hermit kind of state of being, because again, when you go through something drastic, there's a drastic change out of nowhere. You know, the building burns and you're like, I didn't know the building was going to burn today, you know, like kind of feeling. You can't really, you know, go out, have a cocktail and socialize because you're in a state of emergency. You're in a state of shock. You know, there's a lot of emotions with the Tower because it's very unexpected. It's like ripping the Band-Aid off without knowing that the doctor was going to rip the Band-Aid off. You know, he didn't tell you. He was just like, he just came over and turned your whole life upside down. So you kind of stay to yourself when you go through a traumatic episode. Most people will kind of take time to process what happened, and I think maybe that's what's going on between you two. There's definitely some kind of parallel energy between you both. There's a lot of sitting back, being a hermit, and planning out what you want next. You're like, my life just burned down. Okay, well, what do I want next? Who do I want it next? Who do I want to share it next? Where do I want to go? You know, this is like about mapping out your future after the Tower has fallen, and you're like, all right, well, I don't have a home here anymore. What am I going to do next? I'm trying to build back up, right? 8 of Pentacles. It's all about building, you know, getting those pentacles on the board, building them up one by one. You know, one of my favorite poems is If by Rudyard Kipling. I can recite it. But there's a part of the poem that's, you know, you stoop and you build them up with worn out tools. Meaning, like, when you lose everything, you just stoop and you start building up everything again. Even if you have tools that hardly work, it's the act of rebuilding. It's the act of, you know, being where you are, accepting it for what it is, even if you're like, this sucks, whatever it is, and just kind of working with what you got, right? I had a friend once, and he also had, he was telling me a story. They both used to race motorcycles, right, as kids. And my friend came from a very humble background. He didn't have a lot of money. They were okay, they got by, but, his parents were bartenders, so you can make decent money doing that, but it was just more of like a middle class life, let's say. And his friend came from a very astute family who had a lot of money, always had the nicest things, the newest things, and he was a little spoiled. And, I remember my friend telling me one day they were in a race together, and my friend's motorcycle was a POS, right? It was not the best motorcycle out there by short, or motorbike or whatever, dirt bike. And his friend had like the newest model dirt bike that anyone could buy. His friend lost the race still because he wasn't a good rider itself. Like, you could buy the shiniest things, you could buy the best of the best product, but if the user of that product cannot operate it efficiently, it's, the newness and the wow factor of having the most modern bike doesn't really matter because you don't even know how to use it. And my friend, won the race with his old beat up dirt bike because he knew how to ride the bike, over the hills the right way. He knew how to race with what he had, and he used what he had to the best of his ability, and he won. And it was like this big thing in his head because it just said like, hey, I'm done being jealous over my friend who has everything. I know that I can win with what I have. So it doesn't matter too much, about what you have, it's what you do with it. And I think that's the kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this read. It's more like things come crashing down for you both. You stay to yourselves, you plan, you figure out, you dream, right? Dreaming about what you want is important as well. You have to think about it. Like, it's like brainstorming your future, right? If you could get anything you want, and you could literally write out your story, what would you write? What would you put in it? What would you want to experience? Who would you want to be? And I feel like that's the feeling of this little mini read right here, is when you're going through such a drastic change and all this planning and all this working and, inward work, outward work, all the stuff, cleaning up the mess, it's good to kind of just remember about the fun all the way in the corner over here, right? Like, I think you're both looking at one another and so stressed, like you both have a furrowed brow. You're squinting your eyes, like in your thinking, and you're like, I gotta plan this out. I'm gonna do this, right? But you forget just to have some fun and let go. Life happens whether you stress out about it or not. You can stress out if you want, but stress and excitement are the same exact thing. It's just how you interpret the feeling that's going through your body. Be excited about the next step. Be excited about, turning the corner and figuring out what else is going to happen for you.